Hey, welcome to Daily Faith today. My name is Philip Cameron, and boy, do we have a show. One of the smartest and insightful people I've ever met in my life is on the program today. And he is a researcher. It's almost like prophetic, his ministry. But what he does is he spends the tedium of checking facts and figures and what's going on in the world today, and creates. The screen that you're watching me on is made up of single dots, pixels. And 3 or 4 pixels means nothing. 1,000 pixels means not much. 1,000,000 pixels puts a whole picture, so that the more pixels on the screen, the clearer, the crisper you see the picture. And Zach Drew is with me today, and he's one of the multi-million pixel guys that goes and checks all these things out, gets the backstory that I never seem to find, and then he brings it all back to you with this multiple pixel, and you think, oh my goodness, this is what's happening. And today he's going to be talking about some stuff that I believe is important. If you love your pastor, I'll have to ask Zach this, but I don't know if he goes to churches and speaks, but if you have a church and you're looking for someone to come and to paint the picture as to where we are living in today's world, get a hold of Zach. I promise you, he will educate. The Bible says that people perish because of lack of knowledge. And boy, if ever the church is suffering, I would dare say the biggest detriment that the church has going on just now is lack of knowledge. Not just the Bible. In current affairs, what's happening in America, what's happening in the world. We are living. I feel like the church is kind of bobbing along on this. I've been to Niagara Falls a bunch of times, and when you're up the top of Niagara Falls, you can be sitting in a raft going along quite happy, thinking, "Boy, it's a nice day today. It's a nice, look," and not realizing that you're about to go over the edge of the rapids. And not many folk go over those rapids and survive. And I, honest to goodness, feel that whenever you talk about anything political or anything that's going on in the government or anything that's going on in secular society, all of it has an impact on us. Believe me, if you don't think so, you are sadly mistaken. And so Zach's got a word today, I believe, is going to challenge our spirits. And we're just excited. We're just so excited to have you with us. I got something the other day from one of the guys that helps us in our presentation of Daily Faith and Orphan Sands and all the different platforms that we have. And we've had 3.5 million impressions, folk who have watched us. And it has gone up, is it 180%, Andrew? 180% on impressions in the last few months. So we're really excited. We're growing. And if you could help us grow, if you're watching us on social media, hit the share button, hit the like button. And hit that, the wee bell that reminds you, as you know when we're on. You need to do that also for us. Turn on notifications, I think is how they say it. And also you can go to YouTube. We're on YouTube. It's very simple, youtube.com/Daily Faith. And that's where we are. And also if you go to dailyfaith.tv, dailyfaith.tv is our home base for this particular program, which is part of the whole ministry that we are. We do mission work in Moldova. We're traveling in churches and speaking. And it's just amazing how God is blessing and growing this ministry. When we started Daily Faith, it was just a wee program that I literally started because pastors were calling me during the COVID thing. And they didn't know what was going on, and they knew that because I was speaking in churches that I was kind of getting a bigger picture, more pixels again. And I would sit and talk to them, and one day my son said to me, "Why don't you just get us pastor, do a little vlog kind of thing, and find out what he's doing. That way other pastors can check in." And that's how we started. And it's grown. We're now on different TV networks. We're now on different television actual stations. And so we would love you to grow with us. And so we are excited to have Zach with us. He is a great friend, a great man of God, and has a vision and a view on world events that I don't think many people have. So I'm excited to have him. And I'm excited to have you with us today. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to Daily Faith. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you are with us today. My name is Philip Cameron, and this is Daily Faith. This is a show that we do every day just to inform you, to lift you up, to edify your spirit. We are seeing and living in some crazy days. I mean, our news cycle, President Trump was almost assassinated by millimeters. And it wasn't on the news but for a few hours, and then something else superseded it. And it seems that we're living in a day when the world is like a blizzard coming at us. And let me tell you, the powers of darkness are depending on that, because what it does, you're so distracted by everything that's coming up next that nothing gets a chance to register inside your spirit to see the implications of it. And we need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And I said in the we do a wee thing before the program starts, and I really believe that the church needs to inform itself and become politically savvy. And you do know that the Sadducees and the Pharisees were not just religious groups; they were also political groups. And Jesus fought against them. Jesus was involved in politics, and we've been told a lie in the church. And then Senator Johnson, who became President Johnson, had a thing called the Johnson Amendment, which scared the church from speaking about politics. And that is that the separate of church and state was not to protect the state; it was to protect the church. And so we're just so excited as we believe that some great things are happening. We've got a tremendous guest on today, a dear friend of mine for many, many years. I've known Zach since he was a young boy, a student. And he now has a great program, a great ministry. And he's going to be talking to us and giving us some relevant information as to what's taking place today in the world. And a message from God, I believe. If you love your pastor, information is power. I'll say it again, information is power. If you inform yourself, you are not being taken down the street like a sheep, a lost sheep. Inform yourself. Get to know what's going on. Get to know the rest of the story. Because if you don't, I promise you, they'll pull the wool over your eyes and you're going to be all up, you're going to be up the creek without a paddle, as they say. So anyway, listen, we're delighted to have you with us. We have a mission work in Moldova that we've been doing for 35 years. I adopted a baby in Romania 35 years ago, and was set off on a track that has changed my life, and thankfully changed the lives of hundreds upon hundreds, thousands of kids that have found Jesus through what we've done. And we've got a village of homes in a place called Vatra Village, and these kids come from orphanages and dire family situations. They're at great risk of being trafficked. And we bring them to this beautiful place, as you're looking right now on the video. It's beside the largest lake in Moldova. And we put them back in school and tell them, if you're born, God has a plan for your life. You're not a mistake. And these kids, these amazing kids, have turned from orphans to sons and daughters and are missionaries. Spent a whole summer out in camps and reaching young people. When the Ukrainian war exploded, they were up at the border. 800,000 Ukrainians ran to Moldova alone. And our kids spend days and days and weeks up there feeding and caring. Go up to Ukraine still and feed and help people that are in real need. So it's just amazing what God is doing. And we got a testimony the other day that I just thought was really important that you watch. This is what takes place every single day in Vatra Village. The miracles, I've never seen the like in my life. Watch this. This is Veronica's testimony. Watch this.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4, verse 13. If I had given up, I might not have made it this far. Maybe I wouldn't even exist anymore. My name is Veronica, and I come from a family of 3 children. At the age of 6, my mother chose to abandon me. I don't know the exact reason why she left, but she took my older brother with her. and I stayed with my younger brother and father. After she left, my dad turned to alcohol. He spent every penny on it, leaving us with nothing. It was very difficult for me because all the household responsibilities fell on my shoulders. I had to take care of him, to do the cleaning and cook at 8 years old. I didn't go to school much, and if I went out and played with other children, my father would beat me because I wasn't at home doing the cleaning or cooking for him. Also, he would wake up at night and demand food from me. Because of this, sometimes I wouldn't eat so that he could eat. Because if I didn't give him food, he would beat me until I would bleed. My younger brother would always pull him from behind, begging and crying, "Don't beat her, Daddy, don't beat her." But he would still continue to beat me. For a long time, it was very painful for me to watch other children playing in the park with their families. And I would often start crying in the streets while watching them hug or hold hands. Because I wanted to feel what it's like to have someone who loves you, who takes care of you, or what it feels like when a mother buys you a dress. Those feelings overwhelmed me, and I even tried to end my own life for many times. But I'm thankful that I am here now, and I have another day. When I finished high school, I dreamed of continuing my studies, but there was no way. I desperately searched for help, and God answered my prayers through the Orphans' Hands. Now, I want to say a heartfelt thank you for everything you do to give us a second chance at life. My encouragement to all of you is to never give up, no matter what life throws at you. Keep trying, because you'll make it in the end. And don't forget to trust in God, because He blesses us abundantly.
From the depth of despair, trying to kill herself, she found a place called Orphans' Hands, Vatra Village, and she's come to us and has been transformed by the power of God. It's a miracle, a miracle. Would you believe this? In the next few weeks, we have 25 more Veronicas coming in, 25 more kids coming in. And we're growing, my goodness, we are growing. We're talking just now, we're in the final stages of buying 2 houses side by side, each one of them 6-bedroom homes, which also have land around them and an area that we can build into a youth camp. Youth camps are huge in Eastern Europe, and we can have young folk come from orphanages and share the gospel with them. We just need someone like you to be a part with us. Everything you're looking at, all the village, Vatra Village and all the stuff we do is a result of someone just like you giving $1 a day. If you had gone up to the back of a trafficker's car and Veronica was about to be put in that car, taken away, she'll make $300,000 a year for our captors. They use her 30 to 50 times a day, every day, beat her mercilessly, absolutely destroy her soul. If I were to stand at the back of the car as the doors open and she's about to go in, and I were to say to you, we can save this girl for $30 a day, a month rather, $1 a day, I'm sure most of you would say, oh, no, Philip, I'll take care, I'll give $1 a day, I'll save her life. That's as real as it is. And we need you to help us. If you could help us today and say, Philip, for these new 25 girls that's coming in, I'll be part of this miracle, this $1 a day. You can do that, very simple. You can go to our address is very easy. It's P.O. Box 25, Clinton, Tennessee, 37769, I believe it is, 37716. I'll never get that right. P.O. Box 25, Clinton, Tennessee, 37716. You can also go to dailyfaith.tv. There's a giving page there. You can also go to 1-833 daily faith. Really simple. If you dial 1-833 and then type out daily faith, a live person will come on the phone and talk to you. And you can help us. I believe that our businessmen and businesswomen, that God has blessed you, and this is your passion. This is where your heart is. We have, one of the great things we do is we take church teams over. We have people that come and visit our homes and our mission outreaches. And we've got pastors. In fact, we should have Mark Ivy on. He was over a few months ago. And he said to me, I've never seen anything like this in my life. Our ministry isn't to keep the orphans as orphans. Our job is to raise them up as our equal. Every house parent in any of the houses at Vatra, any house parent, were once orphans themselves, and they're married with kids, and their lives have been transformed. So please help us if you could. Be a partner with us, $1 a day, and by doing so, you can change someone's life forevermore. I am delighted to have my dear friend Zach Drew with me, and he has a unique perspective. I've never seen anyone that has a more unique view of what's taking place in the world today. Zach, thank you for being with us. It's been a while, but we've got to amend that because we're living in crazy days.
It's good to be with you. Yes. Have me on as much as you want, Philip. I'm ready for you.
That sounds like don't tempt me. Tell us, give us a synopsis as what you think's taking place right now.
Absolutely. So, as you know, I'm a student of history, and I love God. I love His Word, and I love current events, geopolitical events. I like knowing what's happening in the world because Jesus even told us that we should know the times in which we live.
Absolutely.
And whenever I see America, I don't like the direction it's going. And I believe that all of this can be traced back to, the question, where do we go wrong?
Yeah.
And it can be traced back to that famous story in 1787, with Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
You see, as you know, you've read Eric Metaxas' book. This is where I actually originally found this story, and that's going to be kind of my launching point for today's content. It took about 100 days to write the Constitution, and Benjamin Franklin walked out of what is today known as Independence Hall.
Yeah.
And there was this lady named Mrs. Powell that came up to him and said, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" And Benjamin Franklin, rarely short of words, shot back and he said, "It's a republic, madam, if you can keep it."
Yeah.
Now, while that's an interesting and clever story, it holds profound spiritual implications, prophetic implications. That is such a huge statement. A republic, madam, if you can keep it, meaning it can be lost. Because think about this. This was the first time, Philip, in modern history in which the people were governed by the people.
By the people.
And as Christians, we think to ourselves, well, if we're born into sin with wicked hearts, how can this be successful? Because our founding fathers understood for this great American experiment to work, for us to be able to keep the republic, for us to be able to govern ourselves and have a successful country, the only singular way that was going to happen is if we were first governed within by God.
Absolutely.
And that's whenever it comes down to, quotes like John Adams, the second president of the United States, whenever he talked about how apart from faith, we don't have a country. I'll read it directly. Hold on. Apart from faith, we will lose the republic. We have no government unbridled by morality and religion. Wow. He also said our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to a government of any other. You see, Adams understood that the secret to self-government is that the people must themselves be self-governing, which is to say that they must be motivated by something beyond the law. And so I did a recent show because I'm a typical man. Whenever I see a problem, I've got to understand, first off, how to fix it and where did it go wrong? And I believe that it went wrong when the church became complacent, Philip.
Yes, sir.
Losing its voice.
Absolutely.
Failing to stand firm. And we have allowed in America, in American Christianity, we've allowed man-centered ideologies to infiltrate our teachings, leading us away from the gospel. And and how can this rest on the church? I don't want to oversimplify it, but it's overly simplistic. We know the verse, 2 Chronicles 7:14, where it talks about, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. So think about this.
Wow.
What that verse would implicate is that if there is trouble in the land, the reason for it is God's people turning to wicked ways. It's not the politicians. It's not the Satanists and the atheists. It's God's people turning to wicked ways. That is the reason why our land needs to be healed.
I think
that was the premise of the.
I also think, Zach, you went over. You stated the truths of history about Benjamin Franklin when he said, "It's if we can keep it." Up until that moment, there had never been a nation governed by the people. So you could have a rotten king, as King George was and a bunch of others. We've had our share of rotten kings and queens. But America was a brand new concept, a never thought of before idea, that all of us had the power to cast our vote and to decide our direction. And that had never been seen or thought of until this point. So I think America has lost the miracle of who we are. And if you lose the wonder of who you are, then you take it for granted. And as Benjamin Franklin says, we will lose it.
And the light of that flame will be lost if we don't continue passing it on to generation to generation. The moment that we start voting for what is best for me, what can the government give me, rather than what's the best for the country, what is the best for us as a whole, that's whenever we start to lose it. But then there's the spiritual side to it, of God's people. And I think to myself, whenever we have a strong, because I've always said, I feel that the Lord gave me this a few years ago, that America has always went in the direction in which the pulpits are facing.
Boy, that's the truth.
And I believe that the pulpits are facing the wrong direction because of these philosophies that have infiltrated the church, primarily the philosophy of Christian humanism. And I know that this is not a popular thing to say, but whenever I think about where did we go wrong, one of the things I think of is, we're taught that we must be happy. The mature Christian's aim in life is not to be happy. Did you know that? Now, obviously, I'm very happy. I'm filled with joy. I'm a very happy person. I'm always a
happiness and joy are two different things.
Yes. And though we can be happy, the joy is what's sustained by the Spirit.
Absolutely.
But the main objective of our lives here on earth is to glorify God and to be holy, a thing in which we are wholly inadequate to achieve by merit.
Absolutely.
In the scriptures, it says in Ephesians 1:4, for he chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. But Philip, look how far we've come. The churches do what makes you happy, we're told. You've got to make sure you're happy. Your happiness is the most important thing. You need to make sure others around you are happy, which is important. But if that means you need to change the scriptures, then by God, do that.
Yeah.
And you cannot view God through a humanist standpoint, or the gospel will be about you and your happiness and not about God and him glorifying himself through us. And that's whenever I see, go ahead.
The difference is, instead of us being made in God's image, we've now made God in our image. So he is the God that we want him to be, that he'll turn his eye to sin. This doesn't matter, we can do this. And sadly, that just doesn't work.
And that's what's happened in America.
Yeah.
Going back to Benjamin Franklin, if you can keep it.
Yeah.
Whenever it's not about us, we're not the focus. It's the greater good of this country. In the same way in our faith, it's not about us. It's about God. It's about what he did on that cross. And in the same way, we've mirrored what's happening in the spiritual and the physical realm.
So true.
It's this Christian humanist. It's about me. You cannot view God through a humanist standpoint. Like I said, or the gospel will be about you. And what this has caused, it's caused us to form a type of Christianity that costs so little.
So
We have
true.
chalked that up to America being great,
Yeah.
so that the cost is less to be a Christian.
Boy,
And
you've nailed that. You've nailed that down to the ground. That's so true. Boy, that is so true.
yeah, and a problem with America being so great is that it has made Christianity cost so little. And I'm not saying that we should be weak and impoverished, because it's by God making America so great and powerful that the gospel was able to be preached in a scope never before seen.
As the thought came to my mind just now, we've created a convenient Christianity.
Yes, that's right.
Like we've managed to get drive-through restaurants and drive-through whatever, and we can, it's all done so quickly and so easily. We've transferred that into the church, and you only find him by seeking. You only find him by applying his rules in your life and what he wants you to do.
Amen. And Philip, I believe as the complacency of the church grew, our nation began to mirror those decisions. And like I said, America has historically gone in the way the pulpits are facing. And as we became more complacent, leaving the truth of the gospel further and further behind, our nation's supernatural protection, its guard against evil, it was weakened. Because we know the enemy is always looking to see who he can devour, seeking to steal, kill, and destroy, looking for an opportunity, looking for a weakness in the city's walls. And he came in while the church was sleeping, stripping us of a great deal of our power and giving that authority over to the kingdoms of the world. So whenever we look at things like, Kamala Harris, who's now apparently leading in the polls over Trump, this is a direct result of worshiping ourselves. Because if we worship ourselves, we worship our sinful nature with our detestable hearts. That's why she can pick, Tim Walz, who is forgive me, maybe I shouldn't say this on your program, but
say whatever you want.
May God save him, but he is a wicked man.
Yeah.
And Kamala Harris, her stance on abortion, Hillary Clinton looks like a choir boy compared to Kamala Harris.
And you never thought you would say that, did you? You never thought you ever...
No. And look what she did as the AG in California. There's never been a more pro-abortion candidate. And now we have Kim Walz, who, governor during the biggest Black Lives Matter riots in the country, didn't even want Trump to send in the National Guard, and burnt down entire cities.
And what blows my mind, what they're doing just now is they're making this happy image. So the whole thing is, she won't do interviews, but the whole thing is, look at us, we're joyful and we're smiling and we're laughing and we're saluting to the crowd. And that is more real to America right now than the facts that these two people will usher in. If you thought Obama was bad, if you thought Clinton was bad, if you thought Biden was bad, these boys are amateurs compared to what this next two are going to bring to this country if they're allowed the position of being the leaders of this land.
That's right. And I did a show last week whenever she made the announcement that Kamala understands why Donald Trump chose J.D. Vance, though many of us didn't see it coming because I didn't. Yeah. Trump wanted someone from the Midwest, the flyover states, because the battleground in this election is for mid-America. Yeah. And it's delusional, but liberals feel that Tim Walz can bring Harris, can whittle down those margins and keep battleground states like Wisconsin and Michigan. Yeah. But they're not moderates. They're not Christians. They have the Antichrist spirit upon them. You cannot sign legislation that protects gender mutilation in Minnesota like Governor Walz did and not have the Antichrist spirit upon you. Jeez, he's also pushed through other radical pro-gender bills. He's anti-Second Amendment right. He's also very firm that abortion is a fundamental right for all. And he belongs
At any
to
time.
one of the, what's that?
At any time through the pregnancy.
Yes. And this is where we are. And I know that we have to wrap it up. So I'll just simply say this. It comes back down to the church, that we are losing the republic, but God made a promise to us in 2 Chronicles 7:14
Yes,
that we can, that it can all be good again.
I believe
If the
it.
church would just have a level of conviction and repent of her sin and turn back to God.
If my people.
Amen.
Zach, do you go and travel and preach in churches? Do you do that?
I do. Yes.
Listen, if you are a pastor of a church and you're looking for someone to come to inform, get in contact with Zach. He's on YouTube every day, every Friday night. He's got a brand new show there. It's really simple. It's youtube.com, Zach Drew Show. And also his address is P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. Get in contact with Zach Drew. Thank you for being with me today, my friend. We can't wait to see you back again
Thank you.
soon.
I look
Bye-bye.
forward to it.
For over 25 years, the Cameron family has been changing the lives of orphans in Romania and Moldova. From providing running water, flushing toilets, and clean wells, to coal for heat, new windows, as well as food and clothing, they champion the physical needs of the orphans in these broken and desolate countries. Many of Moldova's orphans are saved from the horrors of trafficking through homes founded by the Camerons, and in the process, orphans become daughters and sons. They come to know their Heavenly Father and are forever changed by the love of Jesus. God help the Camerons lift these amazing young men and women out of darkness. Now, no longer orphans, they want to return and invade that very same darkness with the light of Jesus Christ. The Orphan's Hands equips these daughters and sons to become missionaries. Your monthly gift of $31 will allow us to rescue and take in more girls and boys, saving them from the hell of human trafficking. Your monthly partnership will allow us to care for those in the Orphan's Hands homes in Moldova and the Ukraine. If you want to join Philip and Chrissy in taking care of these precious young people, please contact us today by calling 833-DAILY-FAITH. You can also give by going online to www.dailyfaith.tv or by writing to Post Office Box 25, Clinton, Tennessee 37716. So many lives depend on what we do. Thank you for loving the lost.